Starting with your head, we're gonna look right, look left, over your shoulder. Try not to let your shoulders turn as you rotate your neck. Simply keep the motion in your head. Now we're going to trace down and around the collarbones. Take your head down to the center of your sternum and then back around, going from right to left here. Same thing. Make sure that you're not doing a lot of flexion, extension of the back as you go through this range of motion. Try to keep it in the neck. As always with joint mobility, try to make sure that your breathing stays normal and that you stay out of pain in this range of motion. Just do what you can handle without feeling any pain. From here, we're going to look up, look down. So chin to chest and then face to the ceiling. Next, we're going to transition. Keep your head up. From there, tighten your jaw. We're doing right and left rotations while we look up to the ceiling. Keep your teeth clenched in this position so you get a big stretch through all the muscles underneath your chin. Now we're going to take our ear to our shoulder. Directly to the side. Try not to rotate as you do this. Make this purely lateral movement. Now we're going to take it in a figure 8 motion. So you're going to take your chin to your chest, roll to the right, take your chin to your chest, roll to the left in that figure 8 motion. Take your time with this one. With all these neck exercises, it's pretty typical to hear a lot of crunching or popping, popcorn type sounds in your neck. As you do these exercises more frequently, you'll find that those motions, those sounds should dissipate a little bit. So we're going to move to our shoulders. We're going to make big, wide shoulder circles. So show your shoulders up, roll them around to the back, drop them down, roll them forward, and repeat. Just really focus on getting as big of a movement out of the shoulders and the shoulder blades as possible. Now we're going to reverse those shoulder rotations. With all this, go at a pace that you feel comfortable. I'm doing about 10 repetitions of each exercise here, but you may find you do a little bit more, a little bit less. Now we're going to take alternating backwards circles. So alternate right side, then left side. Let your arms just kind of hang loosely. You might find that they follow along with the motion. And then reverse to do forward circles. As I'm doing this, I like to keep my glutes slightly engaged to make sure that I'm not getting a lot of motion out of my lower spine. I really want this to be all about the upper back and shoulders right now. Lock your fingers, extend your hands so your elbows are straight, and then you're going to reach up and over your head. As you do this, try not to lean back. So there's a tendency as you reach your arms up and overhead, you're going to want to lean back. If looking up at your hands as you do this causes you to lean back. Just look straight ahead. It's really up to you whether you look up or look straight ahead, but I do find that people who look up might have an easier tendency to lean back doing this. Just try to keep those shoulders stacked right over your hips. From here, we're going to go into an Egyptian type motion. So what we want to do is rotate our shoulders so that both palms come up in the opposite rotation. So back arm's internally rotated while the front arm is externally rotated. You're going to turn your head and your body to make this a little bit easier to do so. Take your time with this and don't be surprised if this really fatigues the shoulders. Do be aware, try to keep your arms as close to parallel to the ground as possible as you're doing this. From here, we're going to clasp our hands, lock our fingers behind the back, and then we're going to pull our hands down towards the floor as we straighten our elbows out. What that's going to do is just pull your shoulders back. So from the side, you can see a little bit better. Press your hands down to the floor, straighten out the elbows to get a good extension through the upper back. Again, try to keep your glutes slightly engaged as you do this. That'll keep the arch out of the low back and put it more in that upper back. From here, we're going to do figure 8 circles with our hands. So you're going to take your arms palms down as you go down. Then you're going to flip your hands up to bring them back. Keep your arms relatively relaxed while you do this. There should be a lot of tension in your arms. Let gravity do most of the work. From here, now we're going to go just to the elbows. So what we want to do is try to keep our arms close to our sides so we're getting most of this rotation into the elbows. Now take that same rotation and do it just in the wrists and hands. So palms down, flip over, palms up. And now we're just going to take figure 8 circles with one arm, get into the shoulder a little bit more. Allow your body to rotate as you do this. So palm down as you go down, and then palm up as you go up. So from here, let's switch sides to the same thing on the other arm. Make this a gentle rotation. Again, allow gravity to help you with this. Let gravity take your arm down. It should feel really good in the shoulder joint. Now we're going to do elbow curls. So what you're going to do is hold your arm parallel to the ground, and then you're going to spin your forearm in a circle so that you're rotating around the elbow joint. Allow your palm to rotate naturally from an up and down position, and then go ahead and reverse the direction of your circles. And go ahead and switch arms and do the same thing on the other side. From here, we're going to do some wrist mobility exercises. So you're just holding your forearms out parallel to the floor. From there, move your wrists up and down, almost like you're revving a motorcycle. And from there, we're going to take the wrists and we're going to try to rotate them in towards each other and then out away from each other. Make sure your shoulders stay relaxed as you do this. From here, we're gonna ball up, make a tight fist, and then expand our fingers as far apart as we can get. So really create tension on each end of the range of motion. Tight, tight fist, and then spread your fingers out as far as you can get them. Make those hands do a little bit of work as you go through this range of motion. From there, we're just gonna do some gentle hand shaking. So we're gonna do side shake, almost like you're shaking off wet hands. And then we'll do up and down shaking. Keep your wrists loose, just allow your hands to move naturally for this. Now we're gonna go into some thoracic movements. So hands on your hips to make sure that your hips are staying fixed. And you're gonna take your rib cage as far to the right and then back to the left as you can. Again, make sure that this motion is just in your upper body. Keep the lower body fixed. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper into that range of motion. Take the arms straight out to the side. Continue the same motion, but now we're going to reach with our hands as far in one direction as we can, as far the other direction as we can. So now we'll do ragdoll circles. You want to relax your body as much as possible, and then you're going to alternate rolling your spine around, just hanging your head down. Keep everything as relaxed as possible. From the right to the left, and then back to the left again, or sorry, back to the right again. Again, make this about the upper spine. You're not going to do a ton of bending at the waist. From here, we're going to go to hula hoop type circles. Hands on your hips this time, but this is to assist the motion of the hips. You're going to take your hips in a circular motion, almost like you're using a hula hoop, taking that hula hoop in a circle. Go ahead and reverse direction. Do the same thing in the opposite direction. Next, we'll get into some spinal twists. Allow your arms to hang freely as you turn your head to look all the way behind you, and then rotate to look behind you the opposite direction. Your arms are just going to kind of naturally flop and tap your body, usually around your mid-back, hip, and your rib cage. From here, we're going to increase this spinal twist. So we're doing a twist with the lower body and a twist with the upper body. So continue to do the upper spinal rotation, and then you're going to take your foot, opposite foot, out and tap the floor in front of you. Light tap as you rotate. So right foot and left hand will be in front, and then alternate to the other side. Now with a wide stance, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold forward, place one hand on the floor, then take the other hand up to the ceiling. From this position, we'll bring that hand back down and we'll repeat on the other side. If you find that you have some mobility issues that make it hard to get your fingers to the floor, you can either A, take a wider stance, or B, possibly find a block or a bench to put your hands to. From here, we're going to take our hands, we're going to reach back through our legs, and then we're going to reach up over our head. As you reach over your head, just engage those glutes slightly, make sure you protect your low back. From there, reach back as far in between your legs as you can. So you get a nice stretch through the front of the hips when your hands are up, and then nice stretch through the back of the hips when your hands are down. Now return to a hip width stance position, and we're going to do some pelvic movements. We're going to start with a front to back motion. So hands on your hips generally helps you feel what your hips are doing. Keep your knees soft, and then what you want to do is you want to roll your pelvis backwards and forward, just allowing as much range of motion as possible while doing this. From here, we're going to do side to side motion. So now you're going to allow one hip bone to elevate while the other drops. Let your knees kind of assist the motion. You're going to find that the knees bend according to which hip is up and which hip is down. From here, we're going to go fingertips to the floor, and we're going to do an alternate bent leg, straight leg. If you find, again, your hamstrings are too tight, the backside of your legs are too tight, you can put your hands to your shins or your knees in order to make this a little bit easier to do. If you can keep your hands on the floor, absolutely do so. And then really emphasize one leg as bent as possible, the other leg as straight as possible while keeping your feet flat. From here, we're going to drop down onto the balls of our feet as our hips go towards the floor. You sit your hips down to your heels, press your hands into the floor, and then straighten your legs out as much as you can. So from the side, you can see, come into the balls of the feet, and then straighten out the knees. Now, if you can't get the knees straight, there's a couple things you can do. One is just get them as straight as possible. The other option would be to walk your hands forward a little bit, so that way you can reduce the distance where your legs have to go. Either of those is a good option. So grab a pad for your knee if you need one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to engage the glute on the down knee. And we're going to, from this position, slide forward. Note that when my hips are back, my shin is slightly beyond parallel. So you want to give your body some space to shift forward. Be aware that your upper body isn't leaning forward. You want to make sure that as your hips slide forward, you keep your body upright. In fact, possibly even lean back just a little bit, and then just be aware to keep that glute on the down knee engaged so you're not arching into your low back. You should feel this in the front of your hip. From there, we'll switch positions and do the same thing. From this position, we're going to go into an up dog position. So we're going to push your hips high up into the air and push our heels hard down to the floor. From there, return to a push-up or plank position and then hinge back again. Each time you bring your hips up to the ceiling, try to push back just a little further than you did the time before. Really try to push your head through your shoulders and your hips up to the sky. So back into the lunge position. Now what we'll do with that knee slightly beyond parallel, or heel slightly beyond parallel, we're going to hinge our hips backwards. We're going to straighten out the front leg and pull our toe towards our face as we pull our face towards our toe. Go ahead and switch sides. As much as possible, try to keep your back straight. We don't want to excessively round our back. You'll find that you actually will feel more of a stretch through the hamstring if you keep your spine straight. So from here, we're going to take an all fours position, and we're going to shift our hips to the side as we turn our head to look around towards our heels. Alternate back and forth from side to side in this position. Allow your hips to go laterally as you take your head around. So from this position, bring one foot up, but keep your opposite hand placed about the same level as your foot. The inside elbow will rotate towards the foot, then back down, or back up to the sky. So rotate the elbow down and then up from this position. Reach as low as you can. You may find that you cannot take your elbow to the floor, and that is fine. There, we'll switch positions. From this position, we're going to go onto our back, feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, arms out to the side, and you're going to allow your knees to fall to the left and then rotate over, fall to the right. Doing this, allow that back knee to fall down to the ground, and if you so choose, you can push that knee down a little bit. From here, we're going to lift one leg up to our chest, and we're going to take that leg over towards our opposite hand. We're going to alternate leg positions here. Try to keep your shoulders down as you take your leg over to the side. Now we're going to pull one knee to our chest, bring the other foot heel to the rear end. Holding the knee to the chest, you're going to allow the other knee to fall out to the side and then return back to a vertical position. Be passive with this, just allow the knee to rotate as far as it feels comfortable and then bring back. Go ahead and switch positions. Lastly, we're going to finish with ankle circles. Grab the knee, hold the leg in position. We're going to take outside circles, making sure that the motion stays in the foot as much as possible. The other leg should be extended. Now go ahead and rotate. Let's do inside circles. Again, as big of a range of motion as possible as you do this exercise. Now we're going to finish up this side with point and flex. Point your toe as far down as you can, then pull the toe back up. Now switch legs. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So starting with outside circles. Switch to inside circles. And then we're going to finish with point and flex. And rest and have a wonderful day.